I'm sorry for messing up the Dark Phoenix storyline in the last stand. I promise I will give fans a better version of the Dark Phoenix storyline. I want to give one that we this. You're always Simon, and there's always a speech, and nobody cares anymore. Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Steve's here, and welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to be doing a review. Oh, sorry, this is not a review. This is a rant on Dark Phoenix. So, Dark Phoenix is the fourth installment in the X-Men prequel slash reboot series, which I wish it was just a trilogy. And it came out in the year 2019. Happy 5th anniversary to this movie, by the way, I guess. Yeah, aka my favorite year. Although June 2019 was one of the weaker years for movies in that year. Who agrees with me, by the way? And is directed by Simon Kinberg, the one who wrote X-Men The Last Stand. Oh boy. And it stars Sophie Turner, James McAvoy, Nicholas Hoult, Ty Sheridan, Michael Fassbender, Alexandra Shipp, Evan Peters, Jessica Chastain, Cody Smith McPhee, Jennifer Lawrence, Scott Shepard, etc. And so the film tells the story of Jean Grey, who pretty much becomes the Phoenix again. When the X-Men go on a mission to space in order to rescue a bunch of astronauts, there was like a force in like the skies, like in space, like whatever that is. And so the force thingy in the cosmos hits Jean Grey. And so when the X-Men go back into Earth, Jean Grey with the force in her makes her pretty much uncontrollable and unstable, and this power is being used to pretty much harm people, and yeah, she even kills people. She even accidentally kills major characters that we've all known and loved. And so yeah, so the X-Men must work together in order to pretty much get Jean Grey back and stop her powers from causing any more troubles. I mean, there are some X-Men who actually want to help Jean Grey, but however, there is another side of the X-Men who want to pretty much stop Jean Grey, who want to pretty much kill Jean Grey because they see Jean Grey as evil. They see her as actually a villain. And then there are a group of aliens from the galaxies who want to use Jean's powers as an advantage to get Jean Grey. Apparently, they want to use Jean Grey's powers as a weapon and blah 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 blah. You know what? Screw it. I don't care. No, forget summarizing it. So yeah. Now yes. I want to look back specifically at The Last Stand, the other movie, X-Men movie, where they try to adapt the Dark Phoenix storyline. Now, X-Men The Last Stand is actually the one X-Men movie where I kind of have like a different perspective on it the more I think about it. Now, don't get me wrong, I still have The Last Stand. My rating on The Last Stand is still a 2.5 out of 5, mainly because at least it does try. There are some good things about it. That movie introduced my X-Men crush, tied with X-Men Apocalypse version of Jean Grey, which is Kitty Pryde, and there's like fun action, I guess. But the more I think about it, the more the Jean Grey storyline gets worse. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's a little bit too... The Jean Grey storyline, I feel like they take it a little too far. Where, like, basically, Jean's, like, too... Like, I mean, they go... They pretty much make Jean Grey's powers... there's pretty much no way to help Jean at the end. And then Jean becomes fully a villain. There's, like... At the end, there's, like, no redemption for Jean. And then Wolverine even kills her, which... is not the Wolverine. I know. I don't think Wolverine would kill Jean Grey, honestly. And the Jean Grey subplot just it feels so wasted. It feels like a last minute addition. And pretty much when it comes to the Dark Phoenix storyline, Jean Grey is supposed to realize what she's done, and pretty much she ends up pretty much using her cosmic powers as a gift to you know use her powers for heroic things and not let the overpowering power get the best of you. But how they handle Jean Grey in last time, basically she just turns evil with it. She doesn't redeem herself, and so yeah, I don't like that. I will say though, I do appreciate the Cure mutation storyline more. That's actually what still keeps this a 2 out of 5. Last time 2 out of 5. Sure, it still feels wasted because of how much is going on, how bloated and messy it is, but at the very least, the Cure, the mutant Cure, that was actually a good idea there. There was a lot of potential. The whole idea of humans wanting to cure mutants to take away their powers, and the X-Men must fight to not give up their powers, not have their powers taken away. That's a good idea for a movie going forward, and I like that. It was just botched up and wasted. And why did they need to replace Bryan Singer? Now when I and yes, in 2019, well, technically it was announced in 2017, I think. Simon Kinberg decided that he would make his own Dark Phoenix storyline. He took over the X-Men franchise from Bryan Singer, since X-Men Apocalypse was technically Bryan Singer's final X-Men film, and he decided to make Dark Phoenix. He decided to make this movie, and this movie was under production hell. It was supposed to come out in November 2018, but then it got pushed back to February 14, 2019, and then finally June 7, 2019. And that was all because of reshoots, rewrites, production troubles, and I find that the behind the scenes production was a disaster. And in 2018, we've been hearing a lot of things, a lot of hints that this movie would actually be a disaster. Even Simon Kinberg himself said he hates the final outcome of this movie. He hated how it turned out to be, because it's just because of bad behind the scenes. And yeah, although when the trailer came out, I was like, this game doesn't look that bad. Actually, it looks okay. Now, I was never hyped on for this film. I was never thinking, oh boy, this is gonna be one of the best X-Men movies. I am so hyped. And I was thinking, okay, it doesn't look that bad, but I still had this suspicion that it was going to be a bad movie. And thankfully, unlike a lot of people, putting this in their least anticipated movies in 2019 list, this was not one of my least anticipated movies of that year. There were other movies where I remember this dreading the most, and this was not one of them. I haven't forgotten that Dora and the Lost City of Gold was my least anticipated movie of 2019. Simply put, even though the movie was not that bad. And then some of my other least anticipated movies of 2019 were Man in Black International. Yes, I knew the movie was going to be trash, and it was trash. And what else did I put in my least anticipated movie? Sonic the Hedgehog, I guess. Actually, Sonic became tied with Dora as my least anticipated movie 2019 after that trailer, but that we don't talk about. And oh yeah, Shazam was one of my least anticipated movies in 2019 because that trailer. Because at that time I hated that Comic-Con trailer. I was like, what the hell is this? This looks like a joke. It looked like a fan film. Thankfully, Shazam was a surprise. Same with Hobbs and Shaw. I thought it looked like garbage in the trailer, but the movie itself actually surprised me by how fun it was. Angry Birds 2, which is my most overrated movie of 2019. So, yeah, Dark Phoenix. thankfully was not one of those movies. But yeah, but when I went to go see the movie in theaters, I hated this movie. I was pissed off. I actually was late to the party to see this movie because I was in my trip to Rome and Italy. And then when I came back the next day after my arrival, I went back home. I watched this movie and I hated it. I always hated this movie ever since I saw it in theaters. It was definitely one of my worst movies of 2019 list. And and yeah, and now yeah, I put myself through this movie, rewatching it, and oh boy, yeah, I hated this movie again. Yeah, and this is actually just one of the three bad X-Men movies. Now, now let me ask, is this the worst X-Men movie? In my opinion, I'm not sure. But based on my track record of based on my track record of the X Men, of my thoughts on the X Men films, based on my track record of my initial ranking of the X Men films, New Mutants is my least favorite X Men film. So we'll see if it still remains my least favorite X Men film. But right now, yeah, Dark Phoenix is certainly one of them. Is this worse than Origins Wolverine? Well, we'll see. I don't know. I don't want to say it, but yeah, let's rip this movie to shreds. Yeah, but I actually do have some redeeming qualities to it. I don't think it's an irredeemable disaster. Now, what are my redeeming qualities with a film, you may ask? Well, the best thing about this film is hands down Hans Zimmer's score. I really like the score. I think this is one of the better X-Men scores. The score is great, and it's such a very unique take on the X-Men score, especially with tracks like I don't know how I can't remember butchering up, and then it is when it comes the singing in it, like that's actually really good. And I guess the score in the action scenes is really good, and also the scenes with Jean sleeping after getting after Jean sleeping, and then we see this piano playing this really soft tun 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 tun. Yeah, that's actually really good. So yeah, this is why Hans Zimmer is the best composer. Seriously, if you actually get anybody else outside of Zimmer to compose this one, even John Ottoman, I don't think that the score would have gotten a pass if it was someone else. I don't especially a lesser known composer. Yeah, but thanks to Zimmer for saving this film. There was one quote that I actually really liked. It was actually the quote that I referenced. The quote that I referenced the first in the intro of it all. Yeah, I referenced that line when Charles was saying "I'm sorry, Eric," and then Magneto's Eric / Magneto was like, "You're always sorry, Charles, and there's always a speech, and nobody cares anymore." That is actually a great line, and this is the same movie accompanied with a line that I am certainly gonna talk about later on in this rant. And I will give this movie credit. It makes better use of Storm than Apocalypse, because you all know how I felt about Apocalypse Storm. Now yes, while Storm was kind of forgettable in this movie and nowhere near the levels of Halle Berry's Storm in the original, at least Storm actually looked like Storm and was actually a major part of the team. She actually felt like an X-Men member. Yeah, she's not the best character-wise, but at least she was being Storm. She actually looked like Storm, not on the same level as Halle Berry, but do they just say Halle Bailey as in Ariel? Oh well, it's Halle Berry either way. And yeah, that's the best I can say about the good things. But enough of that. Let's talk about what pissed me off about this film, and it's where to start with this one. Yeah, once again, this movie butchered the Darth Vader storyline. Yes, Simon Kinberg needs to stop touching this storyline because he does not understand the Darth Vader Jean Grey. I mean, I don't know why Simon Kinberg would even think it's a good idea to reboot this. As bad as the as poorly handled as the Dark Phoenix storyline in Last Stand was, at least it's enough to pretty much be left alone. It wasn't worthless. So this was actually very unnecessary. And if you actually wanted to reboot the Dark, if you wanted to reboot the Dark Phoenix storyline, why not just make it good? But no, it's clear that they didn't even try. It's not worse. I wouldn't say it's worse than Halle Berry. No, it's not worse than The Last Stand's take on the Dark Phoenix storyline, but not saying much. Not saying it's not any better either. Yeah, I'll talk about what exactly is wrong with. I mean, I'm gonna talk about what exactly went wrong with the Dark Phoenix with Jean Grey's story later on because there are a lot of other things to talk about in this one. Even like, and Jean Grey is actually one of the more tolerable parts of the film. Yeah, sure, her characterization is not very good, but pretty much what truly ruined this movie to me is everything around this movie. Pretty much everything around Dark Phoenix. Everything surrounding Jean Grey is pretty much what pissed me off even more than just Jean Grey herself. This movie freaking butchered the X-Men timeline and canon. And there is also no acknowledgement of the previous film. So this movie, Fox is basically just forgetting that the X-Men, like this, they're literally like forgetting about the X-Men films, and they're just trying. They just got in their way to pretty much change things and just make all these stupid continuity errors. And because of this, the story felt non-existent, and it's so confusing now because it just messes with the timeline. It forgets about what exactly happens in Apocalypse, especially with Jean's character. I mean, didn't the Jean unleash her Phoenix already unleash her Phoenix powers in Apocalypse when she defeated Apocalypse? Like, that was one of the greatest moments of X-Men. One of my favorite X-Men moments. I love to see. But by indicating that Jean didn't get her Phoenix powers yet and only got it in this film, like, you're indicating that Jean unleashing her Phoenix powers in Apocalypse doesn't matter, which is complete BS. And yeah, it's all nonsense. And oh boy, how they handle the X-Men characters. Like, this movie is so mean-spirited. Like, I hate, like, almost all the X-Men characters around Jean Grey, they are so unlikable. And they don't even have good chemistry, which is a major L for this franchise because if, like I said, if there's no chemistry with these characters, then there's no good X-Men movie. Like, there's none of the characters here are remotely likable like here. And not to mention the characterization, the bastardization of Charles. I hated what they did with Charles here. I mean, isn't Charles supposed to be like the hero of the X-Men, the leader of the X-Men, the one who helps people? But apparently not to Jean Grey, because Charles just, and actually was the reason why Jean Grey is mad, because Charles is a big meanie, the bald head. He literally freaking wiped out Jean's memories. Like, he literally took control of Jean's mind all of her life. Like, he wiped out Jean's memories so that Jean won't think about them. And but then when the time comes, Jean realized that Charles has been lying to her all of her life, which is the reason why Jean became evil, because Charles just freaking sucks. Like, and I hate Charles too. I mean, I kind of feel bad for Jean Grey that Charles, ever since Charles adopted Jean as a kid, it was revealed that Charles apparently, yeah, Charles, caused all this. If it wasn't for what Charles, Charles messing with Jean's mind when she was 8, then none of these events would have happened, and like would have happened, and Charles couldn't really help Jean, and then in the end, even Charles acknowledged that he's actually the villain of the movie because he's what made Jean mad. He's technically the main antagonist of this movie. Wow, and even the other characters around him are all bad. Um, for example, Beast. Yeah, they also ruined the Beast character. He is so out of character in this movie. Yeah, and also yeah, we gotta talk about the killing of Raven. Yeah, why would you kill off Raven? That is BS. Now, I did criticize this film for pretty much breaking the continuity because Raven died. I said that the reason why I didn't like Raven dying was because she was supposed to be alive in the original X-Men films and it didn't make sense. But I realize now it's because of Days of Future Past. Remember, this is a reboot, not a prequel. So I do understand now. And but still, it doesn't change the fact that killing her off was still a dick move to make. That was just oh. But this killing of Jean Grey makes Beast just so unlikable in this one, so hateable. This movie made the decision to turn Beast into a villain. Are you really? Anyone know how he actually becomes a villain? Oh, Jean Grey killed the love of my life. Oh, Jean Grey killed Mystique and I love her, so I'm going to be Magneto 2.0 and kill Jean Grey. But I need to hire Magneto. Yeah, he joins the dark side now, all because boo-hoo, my life is dead because my love interest is dead. Boo-hoo. Oh my god. And speaking of Magneto, he was wasted in this one. He literally only appears in the third act, or technically the second half of the movie. And he was and Michael Fassbender's acting, in fact, everyone's acting in this film is so bad. I defended Jennifer Lawrence in Apocalypse, but in this one, I don't defend her. She's just phoning it in. And oh yeah, and don't get me started on the. And by the way, the women are always saving the men around here. I think you might want to change the name to X-Women. Okay, here we go, guys. I'm not trying to be sexist. I'm not trying to be sexist and all that stuff. But the main problem with the X-Women line is not that Fox is pitching the idea of X-Women. Which, by the way, X-Men doesn't mean just giving men credit. The X-Men is that's not what X-Men means. X-Men is not just about pro male like that. That's not how it works. But the way she delivers her line, it feels so unprofessional. It's just ridiculous. It's just who wrote this dialogue. It's technically the writer's fault, not Jennifer Lawrence. But it doesn't change the fact that she's still folding it in. And Michael Fassbender, one of my favorite characters in the X-Men, him as Magneto, he also gave a terrible, laughably bad performance here. In that scene when Magneto was trying to help the helicopter guy, it was trying to hold the helicopter with his magnet power. So he made this cringy scream. He was like, oh, and with this ridiculous face, and this got me laughing, man. I mean, wow. And by the way, they literally copy pasted his Magneto's character arc in Days of Future Past and Apocalypse. It's just the same thing. Where basically, Magneto lives is living in a private life, not wanting anything to do with the X-Men, and then suddenly an X-Men comes in and it gets Magneto to pretty much come back to the world of killing. He just wants a free life, and then and then someone who Magneto loves gets killed, and then Magneto becomes a villain and kills them, and then at the end of the day, Magneto has a change of heart. But there's nothing new about Magneto's character. We don't learn anything about him. I mean, there's not even a character development here. There's barely any character development. But Magneto's one is just, it's not acceptable at this point. At least there's a reason why they did that with Apocalypse. But Dark Phoenix, nope. Like, it's just copy paste that character arc, and voila, you got your Magneto. And it feels so rushed. I mean, Magneto, like, the way that Magneto just changes, it just comes out of nowhere. Because right before Magneto started to protect Jean Grey instead of killing her, he's still talking about like wanting Jean Grey dead. He's still like saying, "Oh, Jean Grey should be dead because she killed Raven." But then 1 second later, he's like, "Oh, I changed my mind. I'm not gonna kill Jean Grey, but I'm gonna kill Jessica Chastain instead." Like, really? Like, where's the motivation there? Where is it? At least with X-Men Apocalypse, there was actually a motivation building up to Magneto's change, but Dark Phoenix does not do that. Does not do that. Yeah, what a shocker. And also, all the other characters, Quicksilver, where there's no Quicksilver. There's no Quicksilver. You know, stealing the show scene. Like, there's none of that. You know, Quicksilver signature charming moment that we see in the first class. No, not first class, but Days of Future Past and Apocalypse. There's none in this one, which is just so disappointing. Cyclops is also horrible. I mean, he's just so salty about like, oh, he just has a bias against Jean. And yeah, and by the way, yeah, most of the movie, it's just the X-Men arguing over Jean Grey. Like, oh, is Jean Grey actually evil or not? That's the whole movie, man. It's not actually seen. That's all you get. And good lord, this movie is just so boring. Like, seriously, boring. Oh, yeah. At least, say what you want about X-Men Apocalypse, at least that movie was fun. But this, there was no fun to be had here. There was no fun here. It was just so boring all around. There's nothing fun about this movie. At least Rise of Skywalker had a fun scene in the third act of the movie, but Dark Phoenix had none at all. And oh yeah, the villain of this movie, Vought is a nobody. And good lord, this movie wasted Jessica Chastain's performance. Jessica Chastain, you're so much better than this one, but I mean, the only reason I remember Vought is because she's played by Jessica Chastain, but like she's just there just so because the movie needs an antagonist. Even though you could have just embraced the fact that Charles was the main villain all along, and like you don't need like a forced antagonist. And Vought is like, and then Vought apparently wants Jean's powers to rule the galaxy. Okay, and even Jessica Chastain's performance in this film terrible. Like, she just has this one expression, bored face throughout. Yeah, what a performance right there. Totally. Like, I mean, what happened to Jessica Chastain that we knew from like Interstellar? That is Jessica Chastain's best performance, and not Vought. Like, forget Vought. She's definitely one of the worst X-Men villains. Yeah, definitely right up there. And yeah, and let's talk about my problem with Jean Grey. Why Jean Grey? Why the Dark Phoenix storyline was terrible in this one? Now this is gonna be one that I feel like no one's gonna notice, and you might question me for it, but I did notice this one. I don't think anyone else did, but let me just say this right now. It's literally a ripoff of Frozen. Yeah, this movie is a Frozen ripoff. Jean Grey is an Elsa ripoff. You wanna know how? Basically, both Jean and Elsa were afraid of their own powers, and then they run away because they caused damage with the power that they couldn't control. And Mystique is basically like similar to Anna, where she tried to convince Jean to come back, and then Jean's powers just drives. Jean's powers just attacks Mystique, and similar to how what Anna did to Elsa in Frozen. The only difference is that The only difference is that Anna didn't die. Her heart just froze up, and she didn't die because the movie because she should not die. And Frozen is a family movie, but I mean, Jean Grey and killing Mystique is like basically Elsa killing Anna. And yeah, I know you might disagree with me, but I do think it is a copy of Frozen. It felt more like Elsa than in an Elsa story arc than a Jean Grey's Dark Phoenix story arc here, and not even Sophie Turner's performance could save it. Yeah, I mean Sophie Turner gave an excellent performance in Apocalypse, but not in this one. Yeah. Oh boy, and it's so cringe-worthy as well, especially with her, like when she got her force powers, when it was going to her, her scream was so ridiculous, and she's like, ah, like what the hell, and also her like just crying and then just putting her hands on her head like I don't know how you describe it, but it's just ridiculous, and yeah, and also the production value of this movie, it looks so freaking unfinished. Like my god, like the CGI is atrocious. I mean, the aliens in this movie are basically just scroll ripoffs, and they even admitted, Fox even admitted that they actually made the aliens scrolls ripoffs on purpose because they were supposed to use scrolls in this movie, but then they already used. And the MCU already took dibs on the scroll first, but in Captain Marvel, so they had to just rip them off. It's so obvious, man. Like it's just so obvious. The CGI on Jean Grey's powers, like her scars and all that stuff, it's horrible. And even the production value, you can clearly tell this movie is unfinished. You can clearly tell the production troubles. And yeah, and oh boy, the action scenes are terrible too. Especially with all these shaky cams, the camera just shaking. Like none of the action scenes are remotely good. They're not even that exciting. They're just boring, just like the movie itself. There's nothing in the action scenes. The only thing that's worth the value in the action scenes is the score, but that's it. And yeah, the action scenes suck. And not to mention, it's so small scale. I mean, what happened to the big scale of this franchise with X-Men Days of Future Past and X-Men Apocalypse? Those were big in scale, but Dark Phoenix is so tiny in scale. Like, there's no big scale to it that you don't feel the stakes. There's like nothing in this one, no stakes at all. No no big scale to be found here. Like, come on. And it's also too short as well. It's only like under 2 hours. Like, this movie could have been at least 2 hours. I mean, hey, it could have been worse because, fun fact, this movie was originally supposed to be 2 hours and 41 minutes, but then they cut this down to like an hour and 53 minutes. So, I mean, it would have been worse. It actually could have been worse if this movie had a long runtime. Also, the ending sucked as well. I mean, Jean Grey dies by sacrificing her life, which could not care about. But, and also, I don't know if I agree with this. I agree with the decision to make Charles Xavier retire, and why would you rename the school to Jean Grey School? Like, what did Jean Grey do to deserve her name being on the screen? No, being on the title. I mean, if I actually liked Jean Grey, then I would have actually been okay with that decision. But I don't like Jean Grey, so yeah. In this one, yeah, man, I missed the Apocalypse Jean Grey already. Yeah. Anyone, screw it, I'm done here. So overall, yeah, Dark Phoenix is one of the absolute worst female-led superhero movies of all time. I'm someone who defends female led superhero films, and I don't like hating them, but yeah, but you know, you guys admit, I gotta admit, not all of the female-led girl power movies will be good, and Dark Phoenix is just a stable example of that one. It's not as bad as Catwoman. Oh, I still think Catwoman is the worst of the female-led the girl power superhero movies, but Dark Phoenix is certainly right out there. Like, I'd rather watch Captain Marvel than this one. I mean, at least Captain Marvel has something worth of value that Dark Phoenix doesn't have. And honestly, I'm gonna go as far as saying this: I would rather watch Madam Web than Dark Phoenix. Yet at least Madam Web didn't try to be boring, despite there's a lack of superhero stuff. But I mean, Dark Phoenix just felt more worthless. And at least I didn't. At least Madam Web but didn't destroy an established universe and make characters out of character, unlike Dark Phoenix. So yeah, give me. I'd rather rewatch Madam Web than ever rewatch this movie again. And yeah. So with that said, I'm going to give Dark Phoenix 1 star out of 5. Oh, by the way, I need to quickly address this also. I've heard some people say that it was actually Disney's fault that this movie sucked. I mean, I'm sorry, but what the hell? I mean, I get that Disney bought Fox, but like, no, hear me out, guys. Dark Phoenix came out at a time when Fox was still Fox, when Fox was still on their own. Disney did not take control of Fox yet. This movie was made under Fox being alone, without Disney hasn't even acquired them yet when this movie went on production. So it was just announced, it was just reported, but it wasn't really done yet until like, and this was actually one of the last Fox movies to be on their own before Disney. So yeah, please don't bring Disney into this. I wouldn't even count New Mutants as a Disney Fox movie because it was made at the time when Fox was still on their own, but then it was just delayed. Whew. Okay, so that's all for my rant on Dark Phoenix. What are your thoughts on the film? Do you somehow defend and enjoy this film? Or do you agree with me that this movie sucks and is one of the worst X-Men movies? Is this your worst X-Men movie? I don't think it's mine, but it's certainly bottom 3. So yeah, comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned. Stay tuned for my review on Rocket Man and a certain comedic video that y'all are gonna love. Something different. Now, as for the remainder of my X-Men reviews, I'm gonna take a break from talking about X-Men for a while. I will continue with the New Mutants rant on June. New Mutants will probably end, maybe X-Men 97. Maybe those will be the my X-Men reviews on June, and then July will be the Wolverine solo films and the Deadpool duology. But for now, yeah, that was fun talking about the reviewing the X-Men team movies. But it's time to review the ones outside the team. But like I said, I'm gonna take a little break first. So yeah, bye guys.